Hey Weeblos, hey pals, it's everybody's favorite gamer girl, Tristonium, and today I'm going to be reviewing Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. So this review is going to be kinda different than my other game reviews because I've already reviewed 2 of the 3 games involved in these remasters, so I'm not going to be bringing up things like story or anything like that. So if you think that's missing from this review, then you should go watch my reviews on GTA 3 and Vice City. But also, since I haven't reviewed San Andreas, you might think it's a little weird to review the remaster first, which yes, it is. But I have played San Andreas before, so I can tell the differences, and this isn't going to be my review for San Andreas. I'll review that eventually. I'm not sure when, so don't expect it soon. But yeah, so disclaimer, no story review stuff or whatever in this review. It's just gonna be more of like a comparison and just overall how I feel about the remasters. So yeah, before these came out, I was like very excited. I made my Twitter profile picture and banner pictures from the game. And yeah, after seeing the trailer, I was like, whoa, I didn't even expect them to do that. It's very out of nowhere, but I think it's pretty cool. Then I got the games on launch day, I played them, and I was like, whoa, I have a lot of emotions toward this. So I talked to my brother about it, and then he's like, oh, would you review these games? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about doing something like that. So I'm doing that. Anyways, yeah, enough of me talking up here. How about we review the game? I think that might be a fun thing to do. I think that would be pretty fun. I think that would be pretty cool. So, since you've heard my opinions on the main characters of these games story-wise, let's start off by talking about their new designs. For the most part, I'd say I like the new designs of the characters. Claude from GTA 3 looks exactly how I'd imagine him to look with upgraded graphics. CJ from San Andreas just looks like they've made the textures a little better. And my least favorite one is definitely Tommy from Vice City. I'm not saying that I don't like his new design, but he just looks very differently than I would imagine him to look. It's like they didn't want to adapt the face and just made a new one that looked a little younger than I'd like to. But hey, maybe that's just what Vice City does to a guy. I definitely like these faces for this remaster a lot more than some of the fan-made ones though. Just Google GTA remaster faces and look at them. They aren't bad designs, but they're just way too good for just a remaster. I mean, I look at the official GTA remaster version of CJ and I just want to play as him, but I look at the fan-made remaster version of him and I just want to make out with him. The official designs just do a way better job at making you feel like you're playing just a remaster and not a full-blown remake. But enough about faces. Let's talk about what I think is one of the most important factors in an open world game. It wouldn't be a game review by me if I didn't talk about the atmosphere, so let's do that. The atmosphere of the original GTA 3 made me feel like I was in the 90s, even though the game was based in 2001 when it came out, but I guess that makes sense because the early 2000s were still going through puberty. Playing the original GTA 3 gave me a weird nostalgic feeling for a game that I never even played when I was younger, and I think part of that atmosphere is kinda gone in the remaster. Playing GTA 3 Remastered absolutely still feels like I'm playing the same game, which to me is a good thing, but there was a certain charm to the original which I couldn't even explain when I first played it. There was something about the game's atmosphere, and I don't know what it was, but a certain aspect. It might have been the aged graphics, or maybe the pedestrians and their lines of dialogue, but something about Liberty City from Grand Theft Auto 3 felt so unique compared to the other Grand Theft Auto games, and it just felt like an experience that the other ones just can't give you. In comparison to the original, I do think that the atmosphere of the GTA 3 remaster does fall just a little flat. I think it's as close to the original as it could have been, but if you played the original recently, you'll definitely notice a small shift in the atmosphere, but I think it's close enough to where if you haven't played the original in a long time, it'll probably just feel like the same game. But yeah, I don't know, it feels a little weaker at some points while exploring the world and stuff. Now, even though it came last out of the 3, I'm going to talk about GTA San Andreas now and save Vice City for last. So, San Andreas is based in 1992, and the original definitely made me feel like I was in the 90s, and it made me feel like I was back in 2010 when I originally played this game. So, does the remaster do these things? Yeah, but there's definitely still some differences in the atmosphere. For example, San Andreas used to have this really orange sky during sunrises and sunsets, which made half your playthrough look like a nuclear bomb just fell on California. Something about the old orangeness and warmness of the sky somehow felt a little more to what I'd imagine a 90s California to feel like, and though visually I do prefer the look of the new sky, atmospheric-wise I prefer the old look. In comparison, the remaster of San Andreas definitely does replicate a 90s feeling, but it is just a little weaker than the 90s feeling that I get while playing the original. Now, time to talk about the atmosphere of the original Vice City and the remaster. Playing the original Vice City felt like I was playing a 2002 game that happened to be based in 1986, but I would never say I really felt too immersed or anything. I'd get some small glimpses sometimes, but that was really it. And I know you don't have to feel immersed in every single game you play, but I just think the graphical limitations of the time stopped the game from feeling more 80s than it could have felt. Now, the remaster? Oh boy, is the atmosphere amplified! These new graphics and lighting have me actually feeling immersed in the world more than the original ever did, and I'm not just saying that based off memories from months ago. To make sure I had a clear memory of the originals, I was constantly switching back and forth between the originals and the remasters for this review, and it really showed me how much more the 80s feel like the 80s in this game. The remaster's atmosphere feels more like Vice City than Vice City sometimes, and a big part of the atmosphere of these games was the music, which I'll briefly talk about now. For the most part, the radio stations contain the same songs as the originals, with some songs missing. This definitely sucks, but you probably won't notice unless you actually make an effort to look at which songs got removed. But that's all I really had to say about the music. It was pretty difficult thinking of anything else to say, but what isn't difficult is talking about how hard these games can sometimes be. You might think it's pointless to even talk about the difficulty of these remasters, but there's actually been a huge change that's been made, which is the addition of checkpoints. The checkpoints honestly sometimes felt like a bigger change than the graphics update, and I've mentioned in old reviews that the old GTAs didn't have checkpoints, and dying would make you lose all your weapons, which still happens, but now if you die during a mission, you get the option to restart from a checkpoint. This definitely changes the way you'll play this game, and I guess it's a good addition considering how hard missions in these games can sometimes get. You also get the option to just quit the mission you were on after failing, so you can completely ignore the checkpoint system if you'd like, but I found myself using it quite often. The checkpoints definitely make these games a lot easier, but something else that changes the way you play is the new control layout. The controls of the games have been changed to match GTA 5's controls, which is nice, and if you'd like to change into the classic controls, you can, but those are your only options, modern and classic. And since I'm used to playing on setup 4 while playing the originals, if I wanted to play with the old controls I'm used to, I wouldn't be able to, though I'm much happier with these new controls. There weren't any new control functions added, like Claude being able to crouch or anything like that, and a lot of people wanted them to add swimming without drowning for Claude and Tommy, but you definitely still drown if you hit water. Ow, my... I think this would have been a nice addition, and I don't even really care about exploring the ocean, I just don't want to drown if my car gets too far deep into the water. Anyways, another part of the controls that changed is the gunplay, which I'll talk about now. So, the original GTAs had you aiming with the left bumper, shooting with the right bumper, and you could instantly switch which enemy you were aiming at with the triggers, which were pretty decent controls. But in the remasters, you aim with LT, shoot with RT, and switch who you're aiming at with the right stick. And just purely as controls, I do like the new ones more, but the way they play out aren't that great. Switching between targets just feels a lot slower. I don't understand how you can keep pretty much every aspect of gameplay the same, even keeping the same animations, but you somehow manage to make the combat worse? I think I'm just exaggerating and it's only a little slower, but it was slowed down enough for me to notice, which was annoying a lot of the time. They also added a weapon wheel, which I think is an okay adjustment, and I really like how stylized it is for each game, and you don't need to use the weapon wheel because you can still scroll through your weapons, but only with the left bumper, and there isn't a way to scroll right, so I don't know why they still left that as an option. All the old games also had stylized aiming reticles, which the remasters just get rid of. It's weird they stylize these new weapon wheels they've added and do the opposite for the look of the actual combat. And I know maybe you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, well, Tristan, it's just aiming reticles, you know, it's not that important. Yeah, maybe to you. You know, maybe I have some feelings of my own when it comes to the aiming reticles, okay? You know, maybe I don't want to talk about them publicly, you know? Let's just talk about how the game looks. So, you might remember me kinda talking about the graphics during the atmosphere section of this review, and it probably sounded like I really liked them, which would be right most of the time, but the graphics aren't always the best. If you're just driving around, they look pretty good, but as soon as you start a cutscene involving NPCs, the remasters start looking like mobile games most of the time. It's kind of weird. It looks like they just upscaled the graphics on most of the main characters, and then for the NPCs, just gave them brand new faces. Like, look at Sweet from GTA San Andreas in the original, compared to his design in the remaster. Then, look at these NPCs' designs change from the original to the remaster. I guess Rockstar also got access to the Fountain of Youth because look at old Reese the Barber from the original San Andreas compared to the remastered version. It's young Reese! Really though, some of these new models are just so scary, and I feel like the longer I look at them, the closer I am to my final breath. So, I think a little more work on them would have been appreciated, especially when it makes most of the cutscenes in these remasters just look like Gmod animations. At least characters have fingers now though. Like mentioned before though, if you're just in a car driving or not near NPCs, you can hopefully block them from your mind and forget about them, because the maps on their own look pretty good. Though sometimes even the graphics on CJ's clothes in San Andreas look bad. Like this button-up I was wearing looks like it's made out of clay. CJ, you little goof. Clothes are supposed to be made out of cloth, not clay. CJ, what a guy. Well, while CJ handles that shirt situation, how about we talk about the things I enjoyed, liked, and loved about these remasters. I like getting to see Big Smoke's order in 4K Ultra HD super realistic graphics.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
I also like being able to spin my camera in GTA 3 and Vice City, because trying that before would just put you in first person. I also think it's funny how much the minimap shows if you press down on the D-pad. It like expands and just shows like half the game's map just in your minimap, and it has me feeling like Spider-Man from that one Spider-Man 2 scene. I also really like doing this kickflip with my car in GTA 3.
In style, from spider monkeys to gorillas. You'll love your new best friend.
Mommy, Jim bit me.
That's kind of all the new stuff that was added that I wanted to mention liking, but if you want to see more of my opinions on the smaller aspects of these games, then you should watch my reviews on GTA 3 and Vice City, like I mentioned earlier. Anyways, enough of that ooey gooey positivity. Now, it's time to get on to the really stupid Dumbo stinky brainer poo-poo doodoo fart grandpa please help me segment of this review. For some reason, they added main menus, and I don't necessarily dislike them, but it feels kind of weird and pointless having them, because no 3D GTA games have ever had a main menu. I also don't really like this new dying screen, because it feels like they try to be, like, too, like, realistic, and compared to the old one, it's just weird. Just go back. I don't know, I feel weird looking at it. Another problem I have is that running takes too long to start. I start to spam A, and then like a full 2 seconds later, the character actually starts running, and I wish there wasn't this delay here. So these next two were actually fixed in later updates, but I still want to mention them because it's weird that they were ever part of the game. So the first is that for some reason, all the GTA games used to use GTA San Andreas pause menu sound effects for the pause menus. And I don't get why, because all of the games have their own pause menu sound effects. And next is that when the remasters released, they didn't have the cinematic camera option while driving. And, you know, it's not that practical, and it does cause me to crash a lot, but I missed it, and, you know, it's like a little GTA classic, so I was happy when they finally added that back. I also miss being able to gain access to the Speed Force in the original GTA San Andreas, because the screen would kind of, like, anamorph into just, like, one big blur of speed. And I just kind of go fast and there aren't any blurs, and though it is easier to drive and control, I do kind of miss that feeling that I was going like insanely fast. Now, I wanted to save some very special dislikes for the end of this review because they matter a lot. The first one is that you can't get these remasters separately. You need to get them all together for $60. And though I am pleased with my purchase, it would have been nice to be able to spend $20 on one of the remasters before buying the others. Something else is that Rockstar literally deleted the original versions of these games off any online stores they were on, which I just find really stupid. They could have easily made money from people trying to go back and play the originals after playing the remasters. But luckily, I bought all the originals years ago, so I still have access to them, and can still go back and play San Andreas when it's time for me to review it. One last thing is that Rockstar didn't really show gameplay in the trailers before release, which I think is kind of weird and suspicious, so I think they should have done that to gain more people's trust before releasing these remasters. So, after playing the original GTAs and reviewing them, and playing the remasters and reviewing them, are these remasters really the definitive way to play these games? Not really. I think the remasters are good enough to be worth a purchase, but the $60 you have to spend might be a bit much. I think something like $45 would have been more reasonable. I'd recommend if you haven't ever played these games to play the originals first, but since Rockstar deleted those off of stores, these are fine enough compared to the originals to where it doesn't really matter what you play. But if you haven't played the originals in years, I'd highly recommend playing the remasters compared to the originals, as you probably won't notice the tiny details while playing and will see the games looking how you remember them looking. I think one of the reasons these remasters sometimes feel so close to the originals is because they pretty much are the originals, just with a decent graphical update. Definitely go into these games expecting the bare minimum of a remaster. Don't expect the world's best graphics or being able to swim as Tommy, because they barely added much. But since these games were all really good to begin with, the absence of new content isn't really that much of a problem, and I think people kind of ignore that. Though I do understand being mad that these are pretty much just re-releases of old games. Like I said earlier, I'm pleased with these remasters as my expectations were never that high, but I am really disappointed by the fact that Rockstar removed the originals from stores, so now newcomers can't even compare the originals to the remasters. At the end of the day, or night, what these remasters are is a nostalgic experience very close to the original and absent of new content, with the target audience probably being people who don't remember these games well enough to critique them, but instead, it's kind of being hated on by everybody who's on the internet. Though I don't really think that's due to the quality of these remasters as remasters, and more due to how Rockstar's been with releasing games in the past few years. I think if these remasters would have been released a little closer to one of Rockstar's other titles, then it would have received less hostility on the internet. But since this really is the first major thing released by Rockstar in the last 3.5 years, a lot of people are mad about it since we haven't gotten something like GTA 6. I'm not really trying to defend these remasters as they are extremely lazy, but I just do want to mention that a lot of the hate coming towards them seems to be coming from other factors than the actual quality of the games. So pretty much, I think these remasters are just fine. They're not too good, and they're not too bad. They're just like slightly worse than the originals in some aspects, and slightly better in some other aspects, but overall, I think the originals are better. So if you're looking for a GTA game to play, and you happen to come across these, you don't have to look at them and be scared to play them and fear that they might be some weird concoction that was just branded a GTA game, because they're just fine GTA games, okay? They're decent, they're just kind of there. But yeah, I guess that's really all I had to say. And oh, CJ, you fixed that shirt situation. So guess that means that I'm done here. Hi, the review is over now, which I'm very happy about. I feel like I say this in all of my reviews, but this review like really had me stressed out and like exhausted. And I was trying, originally I wanted to get it out like a week after these remasters came out, but you can tell that did not happen. But yeah, I just kind of like worked on these every few weeks for the past few months. Sometimes I probably go like a month without working on them, but you know, I always ended up coming back to this review, and now it's finished. It's like about to be done. But yeah, please tell me how you felt, you know, in the comments. You know, if you liked it, if you hated it, if you never want to watch a YouTube video again, because this one was just so bad. Oh, and please also give me feedback about like the editing. I edited this one a little bit differently. It had like title cards between like the different topics I was talking about. So do you like those, or should I like never do it again? Also, oh, I used like a real microphone while working on this video, which was cool. So did the audio sound good? I know you probably don't remember the audio quality of my other reviews because it's been months since my last one. But yeah, does it sound good? Does it sound nice? I feel like I was able to have like the music louder and stuff because like I was louder now. So hopefully that added something to the review. But yeah, I was really like in a rush to get this review out because it's kind of like last year's situation with the Red Dead review, where I was 14 turning 15 and wanted to get the 14-year-old reviews video out while I was still 14. And it's like that this year because my birthday is March 8th and this is being posted on March 6th, I hope. But yeah, speaking of birthdays, happy birthday to any of you guys that had birthdays while I was gone. Hope you enjoyed them. I usually don't wish you guys happy birthdays in my reviews, but it's birthday season for me. I'm in that birthday mood. When it's close to my birthday, I start wishing people happy birthdays. What can I say? Anyways, I don't know like when my next video will be because I didn't work on anything while I was working on this video because I wanted this one to be my first video of like the year or whatever, and also just wanted to focus on this one. But I did have some ideas for skits, while I was gone, so maybe some skits will be out soon. Don't expect anything like too soon. I don't know if I'm going to be doing like every other week again like last year, but I will try to be posting more now since I have this video out. Also, my next review I think is going to be Batman Arkham Asylum because I did start a review on that a few months ago and I scripted like half of it, but then the remasters came out, so I started working on this review and then never finished that one. But I am going to see Batman today, so maybe it'll get me in the Batman mood, and then that'll probably get me in the mood so I can play the game again and then finish the review, so that'll probably be out within the next few months. And then I think I might do the entire Arkham series. I'm not sure yet, so don't ask any questions about it. But yeah, that's it. You're gonna see me dance soon. I had trouble picking out a song, but I hope you like it. So yeah, leave your opinions in the comments, and maybe share the video with a pet or something. But yeah, bye, and remember to wish me happy birthday on March 8th.